In the frantic and fragmented architecture of 2026, the most precious commodity you possess is not your bank balance, nor your social status, it is your attention. And right now, as you listen to my voice, there is a global, multi-billion-dollar industry, powered by the most sophisticated artificial intelligences ever created, dedicated entirely to harvesting that attention, shredding it into millisecond fragments, and selling it to the highest bidder. Christopher is here to tell you that you are not just distracted, you are under a state of total cognitive siege. We are living in the era of fragmented consciousness. The world no longer tries to conquer nations with boots on the ground or steel in the air, it conquers the individual by flooding their mind with 15-second clips, persistent notifications, and a dopamine-fueled digital drip that keeps the modern man in a state of perpetual, twitchy agitation. In this 70th chapter, we are initiating the Fortress Protocol. We are going to build a psychological wall around your focus that no algorithm, no matter how clever, can breach. Understand the stakes with absolute clarity. A man who cannot control his focus cannot control his destiny. If your attention is for sale, your soul is for rent. The distraction plague has successfully turned the modern male into a reflexive animal, a creature that reacts to every buzz, ping, and flash without a single second of deep contemplation. You have been systematically trained to be shallow. You have been conditioned to fear the depth of a long-form book, the complexity of a difficult problem, or the heavy silence of a deep thought. But the sovereign man knows that depth is where all true power resides. Great empires are not built in 15-second intervals. Legacies that last for centuries are not created while checking a digital feed every 3 minutes. Christopher demands that you finally recognize your smartphone for what it truly is, a digital leash that pulls you back into the mud of mediocrity every time you start to get close to the gates of your own greatness. Every notification is a micro-theft of your potential. Consider the anatomy of the shallow man. Most of you are living in a state of cognitive poverty. You are rich in useless information but bankrupt in actionable wisdom because you lack the internal friction required to process what you see into something meaningful. You are skimming the surface of existence like a stone skipping over a lake, never diving deep enough to find the pearls hidden in the darkness. To build the fortress of focus, you must first have the courage to admit that you are an addict. You are addicted to the new, addicted to the now, and hopelessly addicted to the noise. Christopher's first command in this milestone chapter is the Great Disconnect. We are going to cut the invisible wires of the digital puppet masters and see if you can still stand on your own 2 feet without the crutch of constant, artificial stimulation. If you cannot survive an hour with your own thoughts, you are not a man, you are a biological extension of the machine. How do we build a fortress in a world that is architecturally designed to keep you distracted? We begin with the monastic strategy. Christopher's deep work protocol is not a suggestion for time management, it is a total war for environment mastery. In 2026, your physical environment is your primary enemy. Your smart home is a spy, your smart watch is a digital whip, and your open plan office is a factory of average results. To find your focus, you must create what we call a sacred space, a physical or mental chamber where the digital world is strictly forbidden from entering. This is your inner sanctum. When you cross the threshold into this space, you cease to be a user or a consumer, you become a creator. You leave the reactive self at the door and embrace the active sovereign. This requires a level of vigilant exclusion that most people will find uncomfortable, even offensive. But remember, the crowd's comfort is the sovereign's prison. The law of flow is a brutal accountant. It dictates that it takes approximately 23 minutes for the human brain to reach a state of deep, high-level concentration after a single interruption. If you check your phone or your email once every 15 minutes, you are living your entire professional and personal life in a permanent state of cognitive fog. You never reach the golden frequency where true genius and high-level problem-solving reside. Christopher demands that you sanctify your time. Treat your focus as a finite, non-renewable resource, like the oxygen remaining in a damaged submarine. You do not waste it on trivialities. You do not give it away for free to every influencer or news anchor screaming for your eyeballs. You hoard it. You protect it. You invest it only in the high-yield activities that have the power to build your empire. This is intellectual capitalism. You are trading your most valuable asset, your conscious presence, for a legacy that will still be standing long after the neon lights of this era have flickered out. This fortress is built on the foundation of monotasking. The modern myth of multitasking is a lie sold to you by the people who want you to do 10 things poorly rather than one thing masterfully. A sovereign man focuses on a single point with such intensity that the rest of the world ceases to exist. He is a laser in a world of scattered flashlights. He understands that focus is a muscle, and like any muscle, it must be trained in the dark through repetitive, painful effort. When you are in your sanctum, the world can burn, the markets can crash, and the sirens can wail, but your hand does not shake and your mind does not wander. You are the eye of the hurricane. This level of concentration is the unfair advantage of 2026. While your competitors are drowning in a sea of tabs and notifications, you are digging a single, deep well that will provide water for generations. The distraction plague functions through the constant, malicious manipulation of your dopamine circuits. The machine is designed to give you a psychological reward for absolutely nothing, like a comment, a 10-second comedy video, until your brain loses the biological ability to work for a real reward. Christopher's Dopamine Fast is the only surgical way to reset your internal compass. It is the practice of deliberate boredom. You must force yourself to sit in the silence with nothing but your own thoughts until the internal static of the digital world stops screaming for attention. You must learn to resensitize yourself to the blandness of reality. When you can find genuine beauty in the grain of a wooden table, the movement of a shadow across a wall, or the rhythm of your own breathing, the machine no longer has psychological power over you. You have reclaimed your sensory sovereignty. This return to depth is a painful, grueling process of withdrawal. It is a digital detox that often manifests as physical anxiety. Your brain will beg for the hit. It will whisper lies to you, telling you that you are missing out on something crucial. It will tell you that you are falling behind your peers who are still connected. But the sovereign man knows that the only thing you are truly missing out on is your own untapped potential. By starving the distractions, you are feeding the soul. You are allowing your long-term vision to take root in the mental space where the short-term urgency used to live like a parasite. In the noir shadows of 2026, the man who can read a 100-page complex document with total, unwavering focus is effectively a superhuman. He can see connections that the shallow-minded miss. He can solve structural problems that others cannot even perceive. He is the master of the macro in a world that has been lobotomized by the micro. Depth is the new gold rush. As the majority of the population becomes increasingly incapable of sustained thought, the value of deep thinking skyrockets. Christopher wants you to be the banker of depth. You must be the one who can sit with a problem for days, weeks, or months without needing the hit of social validation. This is intellectual endurance. It is the ability to stay in the forge until the metal is perfect. The comfort plague we discussed in chapter 68 loves distraction because a distracted man is a man who cannot plan a rebellion. He is a man who cannot see the chains around his ankles because he is too busy looking at a meme. By reclaiming your depth, you are performing an act of existential insurrection. You are refusing to be a data point and choosing to be a decision maker. The final layer of the fortress is the sovereign schedule. Most people, the digital serfs, live their lives according to the agenda of the others. Their email inbox is nothing more than a structured list of other people's priorities. Their social media feed is a curated list of other people's highlights. Christopher's priority protocol flips this script with total authority. You must start your day in the dark hours, the sacred window, before the rest of the world is awake to demand your attention or your energy. This is the time of the Titans. You perform your hardest, deepest, and most demanding work when the digital hive mind is still asleep and the airwaves are quiet. By the time the rest of the world is checking their first notification of the day, you have already won. You have already moved the needle on your destiny. You are not busy, you are effective. And there is a massive, life-altering difference between the two. This requires the implementation of ruthless boundaries. You must learn the terrifying power of the word no. You must say no to the meaningless meeting that could have been a sentence. You must say no to the quick question that interrupts your flow. You must say no to every social obligation that does not align with your grand strategy. A sovereign voice is a voice that has the courage to say no to the entire world so it can say yes to its ultimate purpose. You are building a fortress of routine. A predictable, disciplined, and, to the outsider, boring life is the only stable foundation for a spectacular, dangerous, and world-changing career. Christopher asks you, are you a consumer of other people's days, or are you the architect of your own? In the neon-lit chaos of 2026, the greatest flex is a calendar that is empty of distractions and full of deep intent. You are not a task manager, you are a time lord. Says command the minutes, and the hours obey your will. True sovereignty requires you to guard the gates. This means being selective about who and what gets access to your mental space. If a person, a news source, or a digital habit does not contribute to your cognitive fortress, it must be exiled. There is no middle ground. You cannot be a little bit distracted, just as you cannot be a little bit poisoned. The distraction economy is binary, either you are the master of your focus, or you are a slave to the feed. Christopher's guard protocol is about being antisocial in the service of being pro-legacy. You will be called arrogant. You will be called distant. You will be called disconnected. Accept these labels as badges of honor. They are the marks of a man who has found something more valuable than the approval of the average. He has found his focus, and through his focus, he will find his world. As we conclude this 70th transmission, I want you to take the vow of the fortress. This is not a casual New Year's resolution, it is a blood oath to your own future. From this moment forward, you will treat your attention as a sacred, holy flame that must be protected at all costs from the howling winds of modern distraction. You will not allow the digital thieves and attention harvesters to steal your focus for a few cheap pennies of dopamine. You will build your fortress of focus stone by stone, habit by habit, and boundary by boundary, until you are the most concentrated, effective, and dangerous force in your chosen industry. In the shallow, noisy, and chaotic waters of 2026, your depth is your greatest weapon, and your unwavering focus is your only shield against the collapse of the individual. The transmission of the 70th is complete. The Fortress Protocol is now fully integrated into the architecture of your mind. Go out into the world today and turn off the noise. Seek out the deep work that scares you because of its complexity. Stay in the silence until the answers reveal themselves. And when you finally do emerge from your fortress, make sure you bring something back, a discovery, a creation, a solution, that the world has never seen before. This is Christopher, ending the broadcast for the sovereign architects and the titans of the new era. Stay sharp. Stay deep. Stay focused. The man who owns his attention, owns his entire future. Farewell for now, you unwavering ghost. The noise of the world is temporary and fleeting, but the fortress of the focused stands forever. See you in the silence of the next chapter.